Hello guys. So today, not really today, this month marks a month, sorry, not a month, a frigging year of my save being alive. A year! Like, you know how crazy that sounds to me? And you know how even more crazy it is that I'm a person that was 17 years old and I'm now going on 29 this year. And in all this time, including now, I have never ever finished a Skyrim save. Now there are plenty of modders out there, or players out there, that play all different kinds of characters. They'll play multi-characters, like, they'll play two different characters, do different saves, and it's easy for them. There are people that re-roll every friggin' day because their character isn't pretty enough. They have a new, I don't know. But me, I'm probably part of a very rare few that play the one character. That want to play that one character forever. Or that one save, not really that one character, but more that one save forever. And kind of the way I made that more fun is by having multiple characters. Now you can see them all in this image. Now, I've talked about this in the past. Me being someone that wanted to create a multi-character story, and it was very heavily inspired from things like Avatar, The Last Airbender, and Legends of Korra. Those things heavily inspired me to want to create this massive sort of story, and Skyrim's really good for it. It's very sandboxy when it comes to its story. You can take it all different kinds of angles. You can, like, it's kind of nuts how sandbox the story is. I mean, you can play the game as Civil War before you do the Dragonborn, or you could do the Dragonborn before the Civil War, or you could go into these places like these Mage College of Winterhold as the Archmage Dragonborn, and you can do all sorts of different crazy crap. And the reason I was able to craft this story is in fact quite well prevalent towards Skyrim being a very sandbox when it comes to which angle you take the story. And I want to talk about that. And I'm not finished yet, but I'm pretty much 85% done. And this is pretty much it right here. I mean, I had thought about this idea since 2020 after watching Avatar, Last Airbender, and Legends of Korra, and I wanted something like that where the Dragonborn wasn't this superhero from the start. They were just some young, inexperienced, knows absolutely fuck all about travelling, surviving, fighting, and anything like that. And they needed a team to help them. And I thought to myself, I still want my character. I still want Centaurus to be part of the story. So again, I've really heavily focused him on being the Civil War victor for my save. So he's still very important because I guess the Civil War is a major component, even though it's like Bethesda's weakest point in this game. You need some mods to fix that. Civil War is meant to be Skyrim's real main quest, to bring it out of war, and that's what Centaurus is there for. Now, the Dragonborn who was sitting right beside him, to his left, Centaurus is wearing the Imperial armor. She was that inexperienced girl that I created to kind of resemble the avatars in their early stages of being the avatar. This chosen one that doesn't know much. So, again, I conceived this idea in 2020, and I played it through, like, I think it was like probably 5 or 6 months before my hard drive died, and that really sucked. And eventually got my computer fixed, and I had to rebuild a lot of the shit, and eventually during March of 2022 I started playing it, and I finally got to a point, this had been a few months ago, to where I'd done all these characters. Man, it's hard to describe. I start off as, I think, Sigund attacking the Elven Fort and freeing the Greymane brother, and then straight after that, during the same day, during the exact same hour, I play as a Centaur. I don't play as them. I play as a sort of leading character, like, those that are leading them. I play as Sigund's grandmother in that attack, and then I play as Marilia Tullius, who is leading Centaurus, who's just a common soldier at the time, just up the friggin' mountain pretty much. They're like probably like a kilometre away from each other on Fort Ragstag and taking that back. I don't want to get into the details of the story because, again, I'll sit here for 3 hours friggin' talking about it. I was able to play them in the Civil War, and then I was able to move on and start the guild quest. Like, I think I did Tonrock, who is the Red Guard, far to the right. Boring as fuck story. It could be because the quest lines are very meh and boring, or it could just be because I'm going from a warrior to another warrior. Because Sigurd and Centaurus are exactly the same. They're heavy armor, sword and shield, and Tonarok's just different in amongst that he's got a great sword instead of a sword and a shield. And then I moved on, I'm pretty sure, to my Thieves Guild character, who is the Nightingale at the very bottom of the screen. That was kind of fun because it's more of an interesting story, because when you start in the Thieves Guild, they're really disorganised. They're basically, all they've got to do is pick on the people to rift and steal from them. And you're able to transform that and completely, like, take over Skyrim. But in my sort of sense, once I became the boss, I invested all, like, gold into all the merchants to make them allies of the Thieves Guild. Because, again, if the Thieves Guild's ever under attack, the people that get wealthy off the Thieves Guild and protected by the Thieves Guild are going to be one of the first people to sort of protect them. So, the merchants go from hating the Thieves Guild at the start of her story to then loving them because they provide them with lots of wealth and protection. And she goes from turning this just scrabble of thieves into a very well organised syndicate. If someone fucks with the Thieves Guild, they could plant evidence in their pockets and put them away in jail and get them executed. Yeah, that was kind of fun. And then, of course, my mage character, which is Minerva, to the bottom left. Minerva is a very familiar name for people. She is a very beautiful follower in Skyrim Legendary Edition. She's only public there. She's not public on Special Edition. Mod Author hasn't even done that yet. But I did change the way she looks so I could play as her and make custom. And the good thing about it is that my follower framework doesn't have like a healing ability for the followers, but Minerva on her own has a healing spell, so she will heal the team, which is pretty fun. I was able to play her quests and get her to become the Archmage. Lyris, the big tall one in the middle, I played as her from time to time if I got bored, and she actually cleared out a few dungeons that Ragni would soon later on her own would explore. Like, she'd come, there's a ruin where a Thalmor spy dresses as either a side's commander to try and get you to go in there and get a mask for him. And Lyris did this, and she went in there, gathered the mask, found he was a spy, killed him, and then left. And then months later, Ragni would set up camp where the Thalmor once set up camp, and she would go in there and she would find places a lot more empty and safer. And she would learn the word on the walls, and she was the Dragonborn. Assassin's Quest, he's not part of Team Dragonborn because he's meant to be like evil. Like, he does not give a fuck about your life. He just doesn't care. He's more of an endgame character, as in he arrives during the peacetime that the Dragonborn is set for the Empire and the Stormcloaks, and he ends up killing the Emperor's cousin, and the Empire ends up finding out, and the Pentilius Oculatus put the place to the ground, and the Brotherhood are perceived as dead. Everyone thinks they're gone, until of course the Civil War is over, which I haven't got to yet, and Civil War wins. Emperor comes back to, because now Skyrim's now completely fulfilled and is now a fully part of the Empire. He comes to celebrate with the troops, to give them a good speech, blah blah blah, and pay respects to his dead cousin, which he was meant to beforehand, because they said he was going to come during the peacetime, but his commander said no, don't do it. The Stormcloaks still could kill you, so they sent a fake one. Fake one gets killed. Brotherhood gets wiped out. He thinks the Brotherhood's gone. Comes back, has his speech, visits his cousin, gets back on his boat, and, well, the contractor is hot on his heels. And he kills him. And that's kind of endgame for Skyrim's main story. Now, of course, there's still a couple more characters. There's Cecilia, bottom right, is the Pale Lady. She is going to be a legacy character of mine. I will explore a lot of her story in Sky Oblivion. She'll be an Imperial soldier visiting family, her mother and father, in Kvatch when the shit hits the fan. She aids the champion of Cyrodiil in his journey. Basically, he's at this time, I want my guy when he goes into Kvatch to be the Holy Crusader. She'll join him until the Oblivion Gates are closed. She'll pursue and hunting the Daedra, so she'll leave the Empire and she'll join the newly forming groups of Vigilance of Stendar. She'll find the woman that ended up butchering her city, her home, and killing her parents. The woman that caused this entire thing, which was a Mythic Dawn secret agent, which was actually the Count's daughter. And she'll track her down to try and kill her. Not realizing that she's become a vampire to survive. And the daughter wins, the Count's daughter wins, imprisons Cecilia, turns her and all that sort of shit, and then she flees to Skyrim, basically not giving a shit about Cecilia, because she doesn't give a fuck. And she flees to Skyrim, Cecilia breaks out, tracks her down, about like 200 and friggin' like 50 years later. good to have this story because it is wow. I just thought about that. You know that Creation Club stuff, to where you basically get a message to find the Mythic Dawn agents. It makes kind of no sense that the Mythic Dawn is still around 200 years later. I might have that as like a really early prequel that she's just broken out. So like, this is still Skyrim early on the Fourth Era. This is long before the setting of Skyrim. And I could play this as a prequel that she's broken out and she's gone into Skyrim to track down this woman, and she's gathered a large section of Mythic Dawn agents that survived, and they're trying to open a gate in Skyrim, during the Fourth Era of the first year, and tracks her down, tracks her into the gate, and kills her and shuts down the gate. With the Vigilance of Stendar being there, sort of like knowing that Cecilia is now a vampire, but since she didn't attack him when she helped out, they let her go, but she's now marked as an enemy or as a vampire that cannot be trusted, blah blah blah. That would be really good for an origin story of like, man, holy shit, because it's got no importance to the overall story of Skyrim. It's just a side thing, and I could really play that as Cecilia's just broken out, so I could have her looking like a young, fresh vampire. Top left is Freya, who was my first ever alternate character. She's a pureborn werewolf, as in her parents are werewolves. When she was 10 years old, her pack was good. It weren't bad. They'd hunt feral werewolves, they'd hunt bad werewolves, they'd hunt vampires. That was sort of their hunt to her scene, because they were believers in her scene. They didn't hunt innocents or people like that. Famous werewolf hunter who had the woeful axe, found out about him, wanted to get some more trophies, killed him. She fled into Winter's Night, ended up running off until she couldn't run anymore, collapsed on the side of the road. Death was coming for her, but in a sort of different sense. And that death is the bottom right, which is Cecilia. Cecilia sniffed out a werewolf, found a little girl, brought her back to a camp, put her beside the fire. She woke up, bit of a growl, and Cecilia eventually calmed her down and raised her. But she raised her in sort of more of a warrior sort of way, where Cecilia taught her how to use the steel, not rely on her claws, because again she's a pureborn werewolf. She doesn't have to worry about the wolf getting out and causing trouble, because they're one. The human soul and the werewolf soul are one, so there's no werewolf trying to eager to get out. And so Cecilia taught her to use a blade, and eventually Freya buggers off, when she's 17, joins this lady-loving cult, leaves them because they're too walled in. Eventually finds a person that killed a family, kills him with a blade, and Bruma, takes his axe, runs off, eventually does a job for her scene, which I don't even know, and I like that sort of idea, where she gets the height of her scene, gets back into Skyrim, finds out where she's working in Falkreath, because she's a bounty hunter, just like her woman that raised her. Cecilia also hunts bad people, and just how she feeds, she kills bad people, and she feeds of them, takes their heads and gets gold for it. And of course Freya did the same thing since she was raised by her. She's in Falkreath, hears about a werewolf that killed a young girl, goes to investigate, finds that he's cursed, ends up helping him against the hunters because she's also a werewolf, and gets the ring of her scene. And eventually, in the very same place, she bumps into a talking dog that turns out to be a Daedric dog, and aids that dog, and because she's also somewhat part of she's also a Daedric dog in a way, ends up helping the dog, and ends up retrieving the mask of Clavius Fog. Because their story, when she starts, she already has the hide, and she already has the axe, so both these quests result in helping a Daedric dog in the same goddamn town at least, and I'm able to gather the rewards you naturally wouldn't on a playthrough where you have to pick either one. So, kind of fun for her. Sigund, right beside her, is the Stormcloak hero, and Centaurus, right beside the Dragonborn, is, of course, my guy, like I've said. Sigund, I created her for the sole reason that I thought Ulfric was a big gay virgin. Because he's 50 years old, man, he's got no children, like, what the fuck? And that says that Sigund is actually his daughter, unknown daughter. He knows about it, but she doesn't. Because during the Great War, when he went to war, he was given a housecarl by his father. It was a very lethal guard, whose mother was a very famous mercenary, who's their grandmother, and basically joins him, and over the time of the war and coming back and Markarth and all that sort of stuff, Ulfric seeded 2 daughters they didn't know about. He was arrested, sent off to Somerset Isles. The girls were born, their mother died, and Sigund took her mother's name, of course, Bearclaw, which she gained off by serving Ulfric Stormcloak, and trained with her sister to become Stormcloak soldiers, and they're heroes of the Stormcloak soldiers and blah blah. And eventually these two join up, the Dragonborn, hate each other's guts for about a couple of months, learn that they're fighting with each other, protecting the Dragonborn, and they become friends eventually over time, not really seeing their armor or their symbol before they see each other. And eventually down the line, around the end, lovers before the Dragonborn, the only reason they join the Dragonborn was to get the Dragonborn to join one of their sides. And the Dragonborn over time sees they're both right and they're both wrong, that they went from being enemies to now being friends. What's the point of the war if they're friends? And so she doesn't want to join that because she doesn't want to betray either one of her friends, and pretty much when she kills Elduin, she disappears. She leaves her armor and a sword in the snow, people believing that she died or sacrificed herself killing Elduin. And the war goes back on, and the sides, this is during the winter, of course, and the sides have gone, alright, the Dragonborn hasn't come back, she's dead, she's gone. So what do? The peace is over, and Utalius and Ulfric go, yep. Once snows thaw, the war's back on. So Sigurd takes all her troops that were stationed at Centaurus' fort, and they go their own way. And when the snows thaw, the war's back on. And that's where I am right now, back on the war. The snows have thawed, battles are going ahead, all that sort of crap. All these guys went their own separate ways. There's definitely other characters that joined up, but they weren't made to be playable characters. There was like 15 or 16 other ones, but they were just followers of their own little stories. And I don't want to get into that, because like I said, I'll spend all day talking about this shit, man. This is a story that I created in my freaking head to play this massive sandbox game. To put all these stories that are meant to be played by one person, which kind of makes you a Mary Sue, or makes you like an alpha god. And I wanted to space them all out and put them into different branches and different sort of like trees of what characters do this, so their stories fit their story. Like Freya helping the Daedric dogs, the werewolf and the hound. And I wanted them to all fit in their own little places. So the one character, Dragonborn, isn't doing everything in the game. There are stories of other characters. Anyway, I've been wanting to do this video for a year, and now it's finally March, I can finally show off the kind of story that I imagined in my head that I was able to actually play in Skyrim, which is kind of nuts to me that I was actually finally able to get here. I do want to do a video, and hopefully, if you guys take this well and you're still watching, let me know if you want to see this. If you're one of those players like me that want to have the one save, you're not a re-roller and you hate re-rolling, you just want a long save that you can play in your story. If you want to know how to keep, and if you're having trouble and it's like only lasting 3 or 4 months, and if you want to know how to keep it alive for that long, especially with a lot of mods, I've got 600 plus mods, I will do a video on how you yourself can keep your save alive for more than a year, and possibly more. So if you're interested in that, and you want to know how to keep your save alive for so goddamn long, or you want to know how to play multiple characters, or this or that, let me know in the comments. That would help me make another video for how do you keep your save healthy and alive for that long with that many mods. How do I do this, how to do that, I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you're interested. Anyway, cheers for watching. If you like this sort of stuff, subscribe. I do all sorts of different Skyrim crap, and probably even Starfield crap and Fallout crap, but mainly Skyrim crap. Anyway, I'm out of here. Look after yourselves. Peace out.